Kiddies. Welcome to yet another session of online English class. Today I am going to take a lesson from the textbook Hornbill prescribed for plus 1 students. The lesson Discovery of Tut, the Saga continues. Written by the famous writer A.R. Williams. Egypt was once a cradle of civilizations. The rulers of Egypt were called pharaohs. They were the rulers of the state as well as the religious leaders of the people. Today, we are going to learn about a pharaoh who ruled Egypt for more than 13 years and died at a very young age when he was only 19 years old. In ancient Egypt, there was a practice called mummification. That means they preserved the dead bodies of animals and humans in extreme cold, in low humidity, and also by using certain chemicals. And here also, Howard Carter, an archaeologist, found out the tomb of King Tut. Till then, he was barely known to the world and was sealed and remained sealed for more than 3,200 years ago. So, after the discovery of the Tut's tomb by Howard Carter, all were asking about what led to the untimely death of King Tut. Discovering Tut, the saga continues. He was just a teenager when he died. The last heir of a powerful family that had ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. So I told you he was the 13th pharaoh of Egypt. He ruled Egypt for he ruled Egypt for 10 years and he died at a very young age, at the age of 19 years old. He was laid to rest laden with gold and eventually forgotten. After his death, he was buried, and after that he was forgotten by everyone. Since the discovery of his tomb in 1922, the modern world has speculated about what happened to him. So after the Howard Carter discovered the tomb, there was speculations. The people started guessing about what led to the untimely death of King Tut, and murder being the most extreme possibility. Now, leaving his tomb for the first time in almost 80 years. So, after 80 years, after the discovery of Tut's tomb by Howard Carter, Tut has to undergo a CT scan that offers new clues about his life and death. Now, a CT scan has been done in order to find out any new clues about the life and death of King Tut. What happened to King Tut? How did he die? Such a way, so many questions were there. And whether we will be able to know whether all these questions were answered after this CT scan. And provides precise data for an accurate forensic reconstruction of the boyish pharaoh. So here a forensic reconstruction should be made. Forensic reconstruction refers to the process of recreating the face of an individual. So through the forensic reconstruction and after doing a CT scan, they thought that they would get an answer to the question, how did King Tut die? King Tut was the last of his family line and his funeral marked the end of a dynasty. But still, the details of his death are unclear. An angry wind stirred up ghostly dust devils as King Tut was taken from his resting place in the ancient Egyptian cemetery known as the Valley of Kings. So King Tut was laid to rest in a cemetery known as Valley of Kings. When Howard Carter's men had taken out the body of King Tut from his grave, an angry wind formed there. Dark-bellied clouds had scudded across the desert sky, and here the sky was filled with dark-colored clouds and were wheeling the stars in cascade grey. And the stars, since the stars that were shining in the sky, and now the stars are invisible because they were they could not be seen because everywhere they could find only dark colored clouds. It was 6 p.m. on 5th January 2005. The world's most famous mummy glided headfirst into a CT scanner brought here to probe the lingering medical mysteries of this little understood young ruler. So, on 5th January 2005, at about 6 p.m., the Tut's mummy had been taken into a CT scanner to find out the reason behind the untimely death of this young pharaoh, who died more than 3,300 years ago. So they had taken Tut's mummy to a CT scanner to find out what happened to Tut. What was the reason for his untimely death? So, all these questions, they need answer to all these questions. For this, they had taken Tut's mummy for a CT scan. All afternoon, the usual line of tourists from around the world had descended into the cramped rocket tomb some 26 feet underground to pay their respects. So afternoon, a large number of people came there to pay respect to the dead body of King Tut, or the mummy, the King Tut's mummy. All of them descended into the narrow rocket tomb about 26 feet underground. So it was 26 feet underground and it was very narrow, and the people who came over there to pay the respect, they had descended into the tomb. And the walls, they gazed at the murals on the walls of the burial chamber. Murals of the walls of the burial chamber, meaning the burial chamber, the walls were decorated with beautiful paintings. And some people were looking at the pictures that were decorating the walls. And some peered at Tut's gilded face. Some were looking at the face of King Tut. That King's Tut face, gilded face, refers to it was covered with gold. And the most striking feature of his mummy-shaped outer coffin lid. Some visitors read from guidebooks in a whisper. Some were reading the guidebooks that were displayed there, and that also in a very low voice. Others stood silently, perhaps pondering Death's untimely death in his late teens, or wondering with a shiver if the pharaoh's curse, death or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him was really true. But some were not speaking. They were very afraid. They were shivering, because if they tell something, whether the pharaoh's curse would befall on them, because it was an ancient belief that about Pharaoh's curse if they speak something near the tomb. So some people were really afraid and they were standing there. They stood still without speaking anything. Today we have learnt about the 3 stanzas of the lesson Discovery Tut, the saga continues. Let's have a quick recap of what we have learned today about King Tut. So King Tut, the 13th pharaoh of Egypt. He ruled Egypt for 10 years. He died at the age of 19. The details of his death are unclear. He was the last of his family line, and his burial marked the end of a dynasty. So see here. This is an article written by A.R. Williams regarding the famous and powerful pharaoh Tutankhamun, or popularly known as Tut. He was the last heir to the powerful throne of Egypt and died at a young age of around 19 years. His death has been speculated since then, with murder being the most possible reason, because the reason for his death was unknown. So many guessed that whether it is murder or any other, or he died because of any other reason. That is why his body had been taken for a CT scan. Now see the tomb of King Tut. See the paintings adorn the wall. Here the walls of the burial chamber, you can see murals or you can see paintings over here. Now, discovery of Tut's tomb by Howard Carter in 1922 is considered the most important archaeological finding of the century. So, this is considered to be the most important finding of the century, that the tomb of King Tut by Howard Carter because it was remained sealed for more than 3,200 years ago. On January 5, 2005, King Tut's mummy glided headfirst into a CT scanner to probe the medical mystery surrounding him. So, on January 5, 2005, King Tut's mummy had been taken on a CT scan to find out the reason behind the untimely death of King Tut. And then, sir, an angry wind. At the time, what happened? An angry wind stirred up ghostly dust devils. Dark clouds moved into the sky all day. These were thought to be the indication. So, all these things thought that the Pharaoh's curse, because the Pharaoh did not like that his mummy had been taken from the tomb. So, such a way, the people believed that all these things happened because of the Pharaoh's curse. And in the third paragraph, we see people came over there to pay respect to King Tut's dead body, and many were descended into the tomb of King Tut. Some were looking at the murals in the wall, some were gazing at the pharaoh's face, which was decorated with gold, and some were reading the scriptures, and some were standing still without speaking because they were afraid that if they speak something, the pharaoh's curse would befall them. So today, three paragraphs we have learned. The remaining we will be learning in the next session. So you have to read the 3 stanzas. And today's question, the assignment question was, who was King Tut? Who discovered the Tut's tomb in 1922?